dive missile is handy, but unfortunately it's a little unpredictable, so sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth. I'll be showing you that shortly, and in the next stage I will also show you the wire adapter, which I'm sure you've been dying to see. Now, this is the password screen. Sadly, it does not record the amount of energy tanks that you have left, so if you start a new game using a password, you gotta start from scratch. I'm headed off to Drillman stage next, not because he's the next one in the order, well he is, but because I want to showcase the dive missile right off the bat. Dive missile is a homing missile, sort of along the lines of the magnet missile from Mega Man 3, except it uses less energy and it's way less linear. As you can see here, sometimes dive missile's attack pattern is a little wonky. This will often get you into more trouble than you were in before you even fired the weapon, especially considering you can only shoot one missile at a time. Also, dive missile isn't terribly useful against the larger enemies, so really, your best bet is to fire it off against the little dinky enemies when they're just a little bit out of reach. If you try and use it when you're being swarmed, oftentimes the dive missile will do a nutty little dance around the target that you want to hit, and that's not terribly useful at all. So with those helicopter enemies that I just shot up, for example, dive missile is great if you can fire it off soon enough. Otherwise, the missile will chase after the propeller that's flying off into the sky, and that's not going to get you anywhere. Brace yourself for what you are about to witness. Now, for some of you, you might say, that was nothing. For those of you who have actually tried to make that jump, your heads should be exploding in confusion and awe. That is the most difficult jump in the game to make. Ow! Another perfect example of why dive missile is not always reliable. That jump gives you no room for error whatsoever, and I assure you it took me so much practice to get right, and lots of luck. This is a section here that's much easier with special weapons, Brightman's weapon or Toadman's weapon, because if you try and shoot them, you have a very small window of opportunity to actually hit them. Hey Mega Man, you want to show everybody the wire adapter now? Uh-huh. Woo! Yes, the wire adapter, I don't know, it's a toss-up. I said that Rush Marine in Mega Man 3 is my favorite utility, but I think it might actually be the wire adapter. If not, it's darn close. It's just fun, and there are a lot of practical applications for it that I'll show you throughout the course of the game. This last section can be difficult because it has a few different factors conspiring to make you fail, such as boulders falling from the tubes in the ceiling, and these enemies that fly around and then shoot at you when they land. Plus, these switches that when you flip them, don't ask me how, make dirt appear so that you don't go tumbling into the abyss. All of these things together make a pretty challenging situation, and it is not a cop-out that I am using the flash stopper through here, because I am trying to time my time stopping so that I only use it when I need it. Say cheese! Actually, on second thought, don't say cheese, because I don't want to be using Flash Stopper against Drillman, and now I can't switch weapons until the time stopping has stopped. That's the one holdover from the previous 3 Mega Man games. Now, whenever you have a projectile on the screen for a change, you can actually pause the game and switch weapons, unlike the previous games, except for with Flash Stopper, when you froze in time. So anyways, now I'm back on track. Dive Missile is the weapon I really should be using to fight Drillman. However, this is a Mega Man game. Guaranteed, I will need to go back and fight all 8 Robot Masters all over again at some point. That being the case, I'm going to fight each Robot Master once with the appropriate special weapon, and once with the Mega Buster, so you'll get to see it both ways. In either case, regardless of the special weapon that you use, or regardless of the weapon that you use, Drillman is particularly difficult to dodge and then to hit. If you can stay on the defensive the entire time, you just keep moving and keep jumping over every single one of those drills, you'll kind of get into a groove. But then you actually need to remember to shoot at him every once in a while, and his drills do deflect your shots. So it's incredibly likely that the second you stop focusing on defending yourself and try and attack him, you're going to get slapped in the face with a drill. Well, actually, drills are pointy, so it'd be more like impaled in the face with a drill, or poked, or speared, or, I was 1 pixel off. You see that? I had to turn around. Well, no matter. Now I have the Drill Bomb, which in addition to being really good to use against some of the bigger enemies, it also destroys a certain kind of wall that appears later on in the game. Just like the Crash Bomber in Mega Man 2. And I also have Rush Jet. Now this is not the Rush Jet from Mega Man 3. It's the same appearance, but instead of being able to fly all over the place and replace any other mode of transportation that you have, now Rush travels in a straight line and you can adjust his altitude. So it's not the same, but it's better balanced. I mean, balanced better. Dust Man is kind of a misnomer. One might expect to fight robotic dust bunnies, or possibly robot cleaning maids brandishing feather dusters, but instead we have piles of junk and blue chainsaws. Somehow this doesn't really evoke images of dustery to me. Okay, fine, they're not really chainsaws, but here's Drill Bomb in action. I'll talk about that more in a moment. Now, these dudes that are popping out of the holes, they're sure they look cute and innocuous, you can kill them in one hit, but if you forget they're there, you will try and jump over the pit, they will pop out, they will hit you, knock you down into the pit, you will die, you will pull out your hair and scream, and you will hate them. Oh, I love the explosion sound effect of the Drill Bomb. And also, what's neat about it is that you can detonate it prematurely before it hits your target. That might not sound particularly useful right now, but it really is important later on in the game. This section right here is one of two sections in the whole game that has any kind of noticeable sprite flicker and slowdown, so I'm really pleased to see that they have increased their technical capabilities and cleaned things up a little bit. I'll bet you $5 Flip Top gives me something useless. Oh yeah, pay up! Ooh. This next section's pretty interesting because you've got these compressors coming down from the ceiling trying to flatten Mega Man, and these, I used to call them dust blocks so that there was some connection with Dust Man, but really they're probably compressed junk. Anyways, you want to shoot these out so that you can actually dodge the hard hats, and get through here without getting squished. Most of your special weapons really aren't going to be a help. Drill Bomb would be really useful there, but you sort of got to shoot at him. Now, I used to spend time, I'm a little OCD, take out every single block, but I don't have time for that now, so let's just throw caution to the winds and slide right through. Woohoo! In retrospect, I probably could have made that last slide as well, but that's really pushing it. That's already incredibly dangerous. I would not recommend trying it. But if you can, it's really fun. It's exhilarating. It's a thrill. Drill Bomb, as you just saw there, is, as I mentioned, useful against the big enemies, so use it against the big enemies. I like to call these guys ballerina hard hats. Well, they remind me of ballerinas. They spin around. Ballerinas spin around. I don't need to explain this. This is sort of a nice throwback to the original Mega Man, where you had that long, boring stretch of hallway leading up to the boss chamber, and the really big, mean-faced, hopping enemy that you needed to contend with before you got there. Either that, or they really just ran out of ideas for what to do at the end of this level. Dustman is sort of like an evil, sentient vacuum cleaner. I mean, just look at him. It looks like he escaped from an episode of When Household Appliances Attack. Really, not all that intimidating. I mean, his jumping is not impressive. His primary attack, the Dust Crusher, is a little bit tricky to dodge, but once you get it down, it's not so bad. And his other special attack is sucking. Indeed. Now, the most difficult part of this battle, for me anyways, is lining myself up perfectly in the center at the end of the fight, so that I can just instantly appear in the middle of the screen, rather than run to the center. Can I do it this time? Does anybody really care? I care. Can I make you care? Aw, boo, you only care when I mess up. Don't think I don't know. It's worth noting that in Mega Man 2 especially, and to an extent Mega Man 3, the special weapons you pick up from bosses don't always entirely resemble the weapons that the bosses used in battle. A lot of times you'll get something that looks and functions completely differently. In Mega Man 4, for the most part, pretty much what you see is what you get. Pharaoh Man's a little bit of an exception, but that's hardly a big deal. At first glance, Dust Crusher might not seem to be all that useful of a weapon. It only fires horizontally, but then again, so does your regular blasters, so why would you need this? And besides, that explosion with the debris that fires in 4 directions never hits anything. Okay, except for that bee, but really, that's a fluke. Normally it doesn't hit anything, and if it does, it doesn't do enough damage to make a difference. Well, Dust Crusher is actually one of the most powerful weapons in the game. It does a lot of damage to a lot of different enemies, including some of the bosses in the later portions of the game. Now, here, remember this screen, because I will be coming back to it. Yes, if you choose to hop over the pit instead of fall down it, there's bonus stuff to be found. There's an alternate path, so I'll go back to there eventually. Dive missile. Crazy dive missile. There's a couple things I like about Pharaoh Man Stage. For one, it's got good music. Another, the graphics are very nice. The level of detail of the graphics in the Mega Man games continues to improve with each installment. I really love the torches in the background, and I like how Pharaoh Man Stage actually has a unified theme, unlike Bright Man Stage. It's got the mummies, the torches, the pyramid stuff, it's got the quicksand outside, which is a nice touch, and the really cool scorpions. Altogether, it's really well done. Unlike my transition here. You see, if you were paying close attention... Oh, and here we are back at the fork in the road, where I can take the alternate path. If you were paying really close attention, my E-tank total on the menu screen plummeted from 3 to 2. This is unforgivable. As penance for my bad video editing, I shall drown myself in quicksand. Nah, I'm just kidding. Here's something that I have a lot of fun with. I really enjoy the little things in this game. So here's the balloon adapter, and goodbye, Mega Man. You will be missed. Oh, come on!